In case you haven't seen it in a while, Home Alone is the chilling tale of parents who negligently leave their sadistic 8-year-old son at home without any supervision while they go on vacation to Paris. The child then takes great pleasure in tormenting two criminals. Oh, it's also a kids movie and a Christmas classic. Kevin McCallister and his dangerous Rube Goldberg devices dominated the box office as the #1 film in America from November 1990 all the way until February 1991. The film focuses on a young boy, Kevin McCallister, whose family goes on vacation and forgets about him. While they're gone, some no-good burglars called the Wet Bandits try to break into their nice suburban Chicago home. Couldn't they have gone with a different name? I don't know exactly what it is about the Wet Bandits, but it makes me uncomfortable. In the process of warding them off, Kevin accidentally shoplifts from the grocery store, makes a pizza boy believe he was about to meet his maker, and uses a bevy of different originally designed devices to punish the intruders. It seems like the perfect kooky holiday movie for kids, but it's actually pretty dark and twisted when you stop to think about it. In fact, it's so messed up that it's actually a prequel to the movie Saw. Yep, that's right. Home Alone is a prequel to Saw because Kevin McCallister is actually the true backstory to Jigsaw. For those who need a brush-up, Saw is a gory psychological thriller about a sadistic madman toying with people. Jigsaw's real persona is John Kramer, a man diagnosed with a terminal illness and then given a second lease on life. So, with his newfound outlook, he begins trapping people in life-threatening games and puzzles. The thought process behind the games is that Kramer wants to give these people the same new outlook on life that he got from surviving his illness. While that may sound thoughtful and considerate to a degree, there's absolutely no denying the fact that this guy is a crazed serial killer. On the surface, these two films could not be less alike. They appear to be the opposite in every conceivable way. One is a fun, happy, family-friendly movie, while the other is a dark, sick, and twisted horror film. However, they're a lot more linked than you think because the main character is the same person. Throughout Home Alone, as well as Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, Kevin struggles with major anger control issues, a tendency to think about violent fantasies, voyeuristic tendencies, and a fetish for recording his actions on video. These tendencies resurface over and over again throughout the telling of this young boy's early life trauma. I mean, it's one thing for a freak accident to happen like in Home Alone, but once it starts happening multiple times, that's just negligent parenting. That's called a pattern. Early on in the first film, Kevin becomes strangely fascinated with his next-door neighbor, Old Man Marley, after learning that Marley might be the serial killer known as the South Bend Shovel Slayer. Rather than be petrified like any normal kid would be, Kevin develops a deep fascination with the old man. He seems especially into the idea that Old Man Marley would imprison and mummify his victims. Kevin McCallister clearly has rage issues that he can't keep a lid on also. Early on in Home Alone, he comes downstairs to find that his family has eaten the pizza that he was excited to consume. His older brother Buzz, a bully if there ever was one, teases him about it. Buzz goes so far as to tell Kevin that if he wants some pizza, quote, someone is gonna have to barf it up. This shoots Kevin into an unhinged frenzy, releasing a horrid scream while leaping into Buzz with a barrage of nails and teeth. He even pushes his older brother back into the kitchen counter with force, despite probably giving up 80 pounds to him. That sort of behavior over missing out on some pizza is absolutely not normal. Later on, Kevin decides that he needs to quench his pizza appetite and orders himself his own cheese pizza. When the teenage delivery boy shows up to deliver it, Kevin takes way too much pleasure in tormenting him and threatening his life. He uses snippets of dialogue from a videotape in order to make the teenage employee believe he's about to be shot. The boy obviously runs away in fear of his life as Kevin gleefully collects his pizza and utters the line, "A lovely cheese pizza just for me." What a sadistic thing to say after such a scarring event. He even uses this same technique a bit later on to fend off Harry and Marv, the Wet Bandits. This is just the beginning of Kevin's penchant for not only developing these traps and machines, but prior to that, envisioning creative ways in which he can torment others. In Home Alone 2, Kevin even records a video of his Uncle Frank in the shower and later uses it to frighten hotel workers. Clearly, he has a thing for recorded video and messing with people, and it started at a young age. He also experiences frequent realistic visual and auditory hallucinations. For example, he sees the furnace in the basement of his family's home as a ravenous, terrifying monster. Of course, it was just a regular old furnace, but keep that in mind because his obsession with the scary furnace will become a major factor in just a bit. The symptoms of his psychosis and the backstory of where and how it all begins will become an important part of Jigsaw's methodology. I mean, after 3 movies filled with traumatizing childhood experiences, it's no wonder that he loses his mind and spirals out of control. Heck, the name change makes a lot of sense now. Let's take a look at both characters' traps. Of course, Jigsaw's devices are a lot more lethal, but it's easy to see how Kevin's are the introductory version of what they started out as. The similarities between Kevin's intricate, almost pathologically complicated home defense mechanisms and Jigsaw's carefully designed, weaponized traps are uncanny. Most importantly, we should note that both of their traps are always triggered by the victim. That's an interesting psychological caveat that links them together. Both characters love utilizing fire as well. Kevin causes Harry's hand to be burned when he grabbed the glowing hot doorknob. He also rigged a blowtorch trap that goes off when Harry opens the door, burning his scalp all the way down to the skull. Sheesh. Meanwhile, Jigsaw uses fire over and over again. His flammable jelly trap combines Kevin's love of fire, basements, and making people walk on broken glass. The belief is that it's all tied back to that furnace. Kevin saw it as a metal-mouthed monster. This clearly scarred him as a child and played a role in developing his later work. Jigsaw even uses an eerily similar-looking device to torture Amanda in Saw. There's also their shared use of booby-trapped staircases. In Saw 2, Jigsaw uses an electric staircase rigged with blades that slash at the legs of the SWAT team officers trying to arrest him. Similarly, Kevin coats the basement stairs with tar and nails, causing Marv to impale his foot. Some things never change, and this is clearly a pattern of his. While their methodology is quite similar, so too are the locations of both movies. While Home Alone takes place in Chicago and Saw takes place in Pennsylvania, that's not out of the realm of possibility that a grown-up Kevin, or John by this point, may have moved a bit further east. It's not like those locations are at the opposite end of the globe, it's less than a 10-hour car ride between them. In Saw 2, we get a look at Jigsaw's basement, which is almost an exact replica of Kevin's basement in Home Alone. Seriously, take a look at these two places. Everything is set up exactly the same. The layout of the room and the build of the staircase are almost identical, even right down to that furnace. In fact, during the movie, one of Jigsaw's traps involves him placing the antidote to a poison inside said furnace, luring his victim inside, and then shutting the door, trapping the victim there to be incinerated. This is so clearly Kevin McCallister acting out his past trauma. He was always scared and intimidated by that furnace, yet had an unhealthy obsession with it as well. As if all of that evidence wasn't enough to convince you, I've got one more thing that is sure to tie this entire theory together. Here's the real kicker. In the scene where Kevin first discovers that he's home alone, he wanders downstairs into the basement that he loves so much, and sitting right there, right before he hallucinates the furnace monster that had such an obvious, massive impact on his psyche, you can see it. Sitting right there in plain view. A white clown doll face, just sitting right there on top of some boxes. Almost the exact same doll as the one Jigsaw uses, right there in the McAllister basement. Oh, and there's also the fact that they look exactly alike and have the exact same eye color, light skin tone, chin shape, and smirking lips. But the doll was right there. Have we managed to convince you that Kevin McCallister from Home Alone grows up to be Jigsaw from Saw? Let us know how you feel about this theory in the comments section down below. Whether you agree with it or have some information that shreds this theory apart, we'd love to hear from you. We may even use your comment in a future video, so be on the lookout. Before you go, make sure to hit that thumbs up button to let us know that you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure to subscribe to Behind the Screen to stay up to date on all of our latest releases. If you hit that little bell icon, you'll be the first to know. Until next time, bye!